Okay, hey everybody and welcome. So here's my Hyper-E ride, a little bit more modifications. Gonna fix up the front layer in the future, but I currently fixed up the rear. I gave it an overall refit system. So basically all I have to do is just remove the cranks and put the mid-drive system in there, and the entire back will work without any difficulty of changing anything. And the front, I have plans to put a adjuster fork on here. I'm probably going to go with a Zoom, which is similar to my Pro Max quill stem, but it's for threadless. And that is only allowed for a 25.4, so I'm going to have to buy a thinner rod system, but it's not going to compromise the durability of the entire handlebars, because I'm going to buy one that has thicker, like thicker dimensions. So basically, it's not going to be 17. I think it's probably I think it's either the inside is going to be like 15 or 13 millimeters thickness, versus the common, I think it's 17 or 15 is the normal thickness inside the handlebars. So the walls inside are going to be much more thicker. So this is going to take much more beating than what a 31.8 will be able to take. Even though it's going to be a thinner system, it's going to be actually stronger than what this can handle. And then I'm looking at, for replacing this shock, I'm looking at just a basic XCM Suntour fork. So it's not going to have the lockout or anything, but it'll have dual spring preload suspension ability. And I'll see how that works. But it'll have V-brakes and disc brakes, and compared to this shock system, the disc brake, or the actual shocks themselves, as you can see, is not really disc brake compatible, because you can see that there is that this is not completely on the outside here, and then it's completely 100 millimeters. So there's some like piece right here that makes it not really compatible with disc brake, unless it's like in more such forth. So yeah, kind of annoying. But this is my front hub at the moment. I'm gonna, when I take the wheel off again, I will probably put a disc rotor on here and a caliper. But I'm not gonna use the caliper or such forth. I'm just gonna have it. Well, I might use it, but it probably will be as a parking brake or such forth for the front. The rear, I have the rear caliper actually on, and the rotor is on, and everything's tuned, so I can technically just swipe to it and run that. But right now it's just like that, and it's not really running. But you can see that it is kind of attached. It is kind of attached, but it's not really running to any of my levers. It's just running up to here, and you can see right. Well, you can see it's right there. It's zip tied right here. So it's not really connected. So this is kind of something that will probably boggle people's minds, that, oh, you got V-brakes and disc brakes, and it's like, what? And then for my second battery, like I said, I'm going to get a water ball design battery that this is going to be removed, this carrier piece, but this is a Velcro strap. One of my straps kind of broke, so I'm using zip ties, but this is a Velcro strap you can buy from Bell, and put right there. And basically you can put your pump here or water ball, and I'm gonna buy a battery that's actually designed just like this. It's actual water ball kind of system, and it has like a little plug in the back, so you can just boom and connect it like that. So it will be just like this, but as a battery, and it'll be either 7.8, although I've seen some other companies sell them for like 5 or something like that, but the top you can go for 36 volts is 10.4 which is nice, and that's what I'm gonna go for. And then I bought one of these little micro shifters for my derailleur. So it can shift through 6 gears in one. If I go like that. I did take off the throttle, as you probably noticed, and I put my other hand piece right there on that I cut off. You can see the little slit that I made. But yeah. Not sure what I'm gonna do with the mid-drive throttle. I'm still working out how I'm gonna do that, because this kind of takes up a lot of space, and when it shifts you can see that it goes like really far back or so forth, and having a throttle right there doesn't really work. And I know everybody's probably wondering, oh yeah, it's not really shifting. I haven't plugged that in yet. But in the back here, I currently have a 9-speed cassette in the back, and this is my derailleur system. The wheel is a Shimano Dura. I don't know the specific of the wheel, but it's a quick release, 9mm quick release system. So you can see that here's the screw piece on one side. But this is a Shimano super narrow 9-speed chain, and this is Hyperglide. I forget what it is. I'll put the links of the products down below. You guys can see all the upgrades I've done. And then this is a pretty cheap but decent little 9 to 11 speeds, narrow, wide front chain ring system that's on my Holotech cranks. Although I'm gonna need to take off the ring and put it on the other side, because it's kind of like not completely straight with the chain, as you can see with the entire chain anglement. So I need to work that out a bit. But yeah. I'm hoping that the mid-drive chain alignment is going to be pretty decent, so I won't have to worry about any issues like that. But yeah. And then I'm going to upgrade this seat later on, also with a Selly gel seat. It's like a standard mountain bike seat that's like more narrow, and then it comes pretty big in the back, so it's much more easier on the feet. Because something that I learned that a lot of people will probably not realize is that when you get a comfort seat like this, your butt is sitting right here, but when you have your legs, your hips for your legs, they don't go all the way down. So when you pedal, you actually get a lot more tired faster when you pedal on one of these seats. If you're not pedaling on like a cruiser and not really bothering how much you go. This gets you more tired because your feet are not completely downwards. You're more kind of putting your feet like this, like that. Cruisers, on the other hand, have a much more backward seat, so your feet are curved like this instead of going like this. So having that narrow seat system on this kind of bike ability is better than having a comfort seat on it. So it will give you better ride time ability and jazz like that. So I'm going to be replacing that for a narrow seat, so I get better rideability. Even though this bike is kind of heavy, I know a lot of people probably be like, oh, well, it's electric. Why would you pedal? It's like, well, it's still a bike. I mean, I would like to pedal. So, yeah. But and I also, since I have the narrow and wide system on there, I also removed the chain guide top piece. I'm going to remove the chain guide spacer and then put the other spacer on this side after such force, see if the chain alignment works better. But yeah, it seems the chain system stays on more, so I'm going to see how that goes. But yeah. So my entire rear wheel is actually much more better now, and it's definitely nice. And here's the quick release lever. And also another thing, if people are wondering, this is what I found out also. These Schwinn Invage or Inveo, whatever the third party company is for these tires, even though they're not Schwinn. They're sold by Schwinn, but they're a different brand. But they're still great tires. I still have to give props to that. They're still awesome tires, and I've had them on my Yukon Trail, and they last super awesome. The problem is that with these tire treads, they're a little tough. I found out when I put these on for the standard rim for my hub rim, you can see in the background, and for the front wheel. Well, the front wheel is using stock wheel at the moment because I kind of trade the bead when I tried to take it off and on to replace the inner tube. So it actually started popping the inner tube because the bead was exposed to the inner tube. But the rims for the hub motors seem to be a lot more bigger. So these treads don't exactly work very well with the hub wheels. But for the standard wheels, this standard wheel and such forth is actually working fine. It connects and puts on with ease, no problem. But with these, I think they're just like a half of an inch bigger around, and so they're a lot more tighter to try and put on and off. They're not, I mean, they're so tight that it's like you literally have to get your entire tool set and like or like put a bunch of pry tools in it just to lift the entire rim bead off and then remove the entire tread to put a new tube on. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. So I'm gonna have to look into how to fix that and probably buy something that's going to be more compatible with the front hub or both of the wheels themselves. So yeah. But if you're wondering, both of the well, this supposedly says it's a 2.1 for this type of size. That's the length of that, but I don't really believe that because this is a 1.95 in length, and it's is pretty much outmowing that. But maybe that's just the tread, the wider knobs on it. Who knows? But yeah. So I think the rims on the hub motors are just like 0.5 inches longer around, so it's definitely harder to put these kind of standard tread on the hub motors. But for this wheel, this went on with no problem. So yeah. So if you buy these wheels, I mean these treads, just be aware of that. They will be really difficult to put on and off. Like, I mean, super difficult. That it would be like frustrating to take off, you know, or put on. So I would get something different, but I would get I would get some kind of tire that's like this, and definitely a high PSI tire, because the reason why I also like these tires is not only because of the tread, but the higher PSI in them, the 65 PSI that's in them that you can get, is actually way better for the rolling resistance compared to the 40 PSI that these tires have. Because the higher PSI in the tires, when you're definitely going on road, gives it much more uplift feel of the bike. It doesn't feel like it's sagging or it's like hard to pedal the entire bike, and it rolls much more freer than what the stock tires does or 40 psi does. So it gives much better rideability if you're pedaling the bike itself. So that's what I like about these tires. They're much more grippier. The higher PSI definitely makes the bike much more easier to ride, and it's the thicker walls of the tread pattern and the tread themselves is much more better in puncture resistance than such forth. So yeah. So I'll see you guys later. Peace out.